If there is one topic that applies to just about all of us, it's car insurance. If you drive, you must have it, period. And there are so many things to consider when crafting a policy to suit your needs. So today, we're going to look at it from a legal perspective. Attorney Scott Smith of Smith Law Office joining me once again with some advice. So good to see you, Scott.
Thanks for having me back.
So first, let's start with the basics. We know it is law to have car insurance. Everybody who drives has to have that proof of insurance. But does Ohio law dictate how much insurance we need?
We do. Insurance, in my opinion, is a necessary evil. On one hand, the law requires us to have insurance on our car if we're going to drive in the state of Ohio. It's a requirement. There's a minimum amount that was recently raised to $25,000. What that means is you have to have at least $25,000 of car insurance that in case you're liable for causing a collision, you have that amount to cover them.
Okay, so we're going to go over some things to consider when you're buying a policy. Aside from that, we're going to start with the rate. So what should be top of mind when you're trying to figure out what you should spend? Because we all know, right? People go, oh, I want to spend less, and everything. Not always important, though, to consider that, right?
Not at all. In fact, this should not be something you cut. This is something you consider because you don't understand the consequences until you're involved in a collision, what that means. You may cause the injury. You may hit a bus full of children. $25,000 is not enough. If you have personal assets and the $25,000 is not enough, they may get into your personal assets. So you don't want to scrimp on how much insurance you should have. Rule of thumb is, depending upon your assets, you should have at least enough coverage to cover what your personal assets would be, and at least enough cover how much injuries potentially could occur.
We hear the word liability, so let's get into that topic. What does that include? How much of that do we need?
Well, under my circumstances or your circumstances, Robin, liability insurance probably can never be enough, depending upon your assets. For instance, as the example I gave you, if you run a stop sign and hit a bus full of children, you've got a lot of people that are potentially badly injured. $25,000 is not enough. The standard policies around the insurance companies in Ohio are about $100,000 in liability coverage. Me, I have more than that. I don't know how much you have. Most people, that's sufficient, but it's not always enough. So it depends on your circumstances, how much liability coverage you have, because if you're a careful driver, you might be okay. But if you're not, you might need more.
And you might run into people who are not careful drivers, even more so than you. Uninsured, underinsured, a big part of this. What is that in relevance to our policy?
It's a good question, Robin. Most people don't understand uninsured or uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. A lot of insurance agents don't know it either. But I always tell everybody that I see and that I meet that you should have this. Uninsured motorist coverage is if someone hits you and they have no insurance. Now, it's a law to have it, but a lot of people don't. Underinsurance is if a person hits you, causes your injury, and doesn't have enough. Let's say they have state minimums of $25,000, but they broke both your legs and you're having surgery. Your medical bills are going to be through the roof. $25,000 is not going to be enough. So what you do is buy underinsurance and uninsurance to a level you feel comfortable with, at least equal to the liability limits. So if you have $100,000 in liability coverage, get $100,000 in uninsurance and underinsurance in case that person who needlessly endangers you doesn't have enough or doesn't have any.
And in relation to that, medical is also something you need to include in your policy. So is that tied into that at all, or is that a separate part?
That's a different issue, but let me hit that for a minute. A lot of insurance agents sell you medical payments coverage as a benefit under your policy. A lot of people don't even know they have it. The thing about it is, if you have good health insurance, you don't necessarily need medical payments coverage, but it's always nice to have because medical payments coverage will pay for your injuries whether you're at fault or whether you're not at fault. It at least gets some money paid, and if you don't have health insurance, it's pretty important.
Okay, next we are going to talk about umbrella policies. How do those work?
Umbrella policies is a really unknown quantity of insurance. I have an umbrella policy. This is what it means, Robin. You own a car, you own a boat, you own a house. You get them all under one insurance policy. You get your uninsurance, your underinsurance, your liability coverage, your medical payments. Now, is $100,000 enough? Maybe it's not. I have much more. I asked my agent for an umbrella policy that covers all of those things up to $1 million. Everybody goes, oh, $1 million, that's going to cost a lot of money. It doesn't cost that much more. They don't sell it to you because it doesn't cost that much and they don't make as much money on it. So, to protect yourself, you get liability coverage, you get uninsured, underinsured, you get medical payments, and then an umbrella. Ask your agent. You need to ask your agent. Someone who knows, an independent agent will help you. You get umbrella, it goes up to $1 million. It's good if someone hits you, they don't have insurance, not enough, or if you hit someone and you cause an injury that's catastrophic.
All right, so obvious benefits to really doing your homework when it comes to your car insurance. I want to thank you for being with us and sharing that with us today,
Thank you so
Scott.
much, Robin. I appreciate it.